But I'm Jack Mackey. I'm your host today, and this evening we're very excited, as I said, to have you all here. One of the things that I realized listening to our two sponsors speak is all of our progress at this event, which is, after all, get set to get ahead in 2023, but all of our progress comes down to just one of three things: the people you meet, the new knowledge you gain, and the actions that you ultimately take. So I'm so pleased to see how you all gravitated to network with each other, and hope you'll continue to do that. We're going to give you a fantastic program. You're going to hear great new information tonight presented by a variety of people. And there's just a few things that I want to acknowledge before we get started here. The National Speakers Association here in Kansas City is producing this event. And we are producing this event because we have talented people right here in Kansas City that would love the chance to share their information with you. And as we were putting together the program, we thought, we're very fortunate that we can all be here tonight, enjoy this program, pay admission for it. But not everybody is that fortunate. And we wondered, how could we somehow make this group available as another way that we can give to the community? And so what we did was we partnered with City Union Mission, and we asked them to join us tonight. And you'll hear from their CEO, Terry Megley, in just a little bit. But I just would like to ask the folks over at City Union Mission table, will you just stand up for a second and wave at everybody? Let's give them a hand. Our association, by the way, we're a nonprofit organization, and we primarily help people who are professionals, experts, coaches, whatever they're good at, make a living or make a better living by speaking and using that as another income stream. And so anytime today I'll give you a chance to see and meet a lot of our speakers. Feel free to talk to them or me, and we can explain to you a little bit about how it works and how it might be an opportunity for you to improve your business in 2023. The last thing I want to point out is this whole idea of action. A lot of that action isn't going to happen tonight. So we gave you a handout, and in our minds, this is your action planning tool. If you haven't done so, I'd suggest you write your name right up here in the corner, because when you leave tonight, you want to make sure you walk away with your notes and not somebody else's. So jot your name down there. If you haven't got one of those, raise your hand, let us know. We'll send someone over, make sure everybody has a set of notes like this. And if you haven't looked inside yet, I just want to make a suggestion. A fast way to learn. Okay, thank you. Chucky, would you help us out? We've got a few people over there that need handouts. Thank you very much. But if you look inside real fast, you'll see that each speaker has a page, and that's designed so you can take notes, the things that resonate with you. But there's also a place where you can write your top 1, 2, 3 things that you want to act on after you leave here tonight. So I want to encourage you to take that step forward, and when you leave, you'll be very equipped to take some action. So we've waited now till 6:36 to hear our first speaker. Would you like to meet Joel Goldberg? All right, yeah, here we go. Joel is pretty well known in the Kansas City community. He's our Emmy award-winning on-air announcer for the Kansas City Royals, as you may know. But in addition to that, he's covered sports for 25 years and big stuff, Super Bowls, World Series, things like that. Just recently, he told me he was so excited he got a chance to go to Cooperstown for the induction of the legendary Buck O'Neil. And that was a huge highlight of his career. In addition to that, he interviews people all the time. He's got a great podcast called Rounding the Bases. And from that, he's able to develop a great book that he calls it Small Ball, Big Results. And it's all about things he's learned from people that have been extraordinarily successful, not just in baseball, but in all kinds of businesses. And those are really useful ideas that he can share with you. And then finally, because Joel is a professional speaker, he operates a speaking business. and he helps clients improve their culture, and by improving their culture, improve their performance as a result of his presentations. So you're going to enjoy listening to Joel Goldberg. Let's bring him up on the stage right now with a big round of applause.
All right, I don't need a microphone. I'm loud. It's never been a problem. So thank you all for hanging in, and we'll keep this thing moving. I've got my timer going because usually I have a voice in my ear, and it's my producer telling me to shut up. All right, enough already, enough already. I began the professional speaking career 6 years ago, which sounds kind of weird because I've been in television for 28 years, the last 15 with the Kansas City Royals. But you know, whether I'm labeled a baseball broadcaster, a speaker, a podcast host, now an author, really no matter what we do, and I know a lot of people in this room, there are a lot of people I haven't met or maybe just met tonight, we all have something in common. It was actually the first of the three things that Jack just mentioned, and that's people. I'm lucky enough now to speak in Kansas City and around the country. I spoke at a conference for endodontists in October in San Diego. I don't know a thing about root canals, but it all involves people. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but guess what? They're building teams and culture just like the rest of us. So the point of this message for me on my end today is it's all about people. People say, wow, you're in baseball. Yeah, but it's all about people. And one of the messages I'd love to share with an audience is this: never underestimate the power of a dream. Because since the time we can remember, we were dreaming. You can remember dreams from very early in your age, and my guess is that everyone in here still has dreams, whatever that might be. And that's good. That's a healthy thing. I love to talk to people about their dreams, and it could be anyone. It's certainly a lot of baseball players. Well, I'll talk to the random FedEx guy. What did you want to be when you grew up? It's one of my favorite questions to ask people. What did you want to be when you grew up? And you know, the thing about dreams is that they never quite go as planned. They're a little bit hazy and fuzzy. They don't always make sense. But we always end up there at some point or another. And so whether it's the FedEx driver or the baseball player, if you grew up loving sports, or whatever it was, but if you grew up loving sports like me, even if you weren't a very good athlete, and I was not, I could just talk, I grew up hitting home runs in the backyard that were going to win Game 7 of the World Series. My dream was to be a broadcaster, but now I get to talk to athletes about living those dreams. It's the coolest thing. The day they make it to the big leagues, I tell every one of them, because I'm the old guy now, I say, don't forget this day. Whether you go 0 for 4 and strike out 4 times, whether you hit 4 home runs, whether you give up 10 runs or you strike out 15 batters, you will never forget this day. And from this day on, you'll always be a big leaguer. So embrace every moment. Let your families embrace it. That was the case this year. We were in Toronto. If people don't know the story, and I won't get too into it because we don't have enough time, the Royals had a lot of players that were unvaccinated. That was a little bit of a sticky situation. Couldn't get into Canada. People have different opinions about that, but they weren't there, which meant an opportunity for other people. And sometimes all you need is an opportunity for those dreams to come true. Well, the picture that you see on either screen is Nate Eaton, not a big-time superstar, Royals draft pick out of Virginia Military Institute. And what did he do growing up? He dreamed of hitting home runs. And so here he is now making his big league debut in the outfield for the Royals in Toronto, and it's a close game late. And what you see on that screen is his first hit. They saved the ball. That's how close I get to sit to the dugout. I've got the best seat in the house. And all of his teammates are congratulating him for that first hit. What was that first hit? It looked like this. So that, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And they won, and I get to interview the star of the game, you know, the Salvi Splash, all of that kind of thing. So of course, I'm always thinking about who's the hero, but who's got the interesting story to tell. And it was Nate Eaton, and he indeed talked about everything I just said.
He is officially a big leaguer. I don't know if you could have done it this way. Congratulations. What's the adrenaline and the heart rate like right now? That quickly, oh, here we go. That was a little one. I guess they didn't have a big bucket. But what's the adrenaline like for you right now? That just happened.
It's going a little faster than the cold water just got poured on me. But I mean, it's everything I dreamed of growing up, simulating in the backyard, everything with your friends.
Yeah, you know, there was that collective, aw, and I knew when I sent it back up to the booth and then they wrapped it up and went to a commercial and then we started our post-game show, I could hear the voice of one of my colleagues, Rex Hudler, who gets emotional a lot in the midst of all of his shenanigans, and his voice was choking up. He was ready to cry on the air, and I thought, how cool is it that I get to do that? Not make people cry, but I mean, I get to be a part of that moment. You know how many times his family and his friends, most of whom I've never met, played that over and over and over again, and I'm along for that ride, getting to tell that story? It's always about people, and I'm a storyteller. It's always about storytelling. No matter what any of you do, it's about telling your company's story. It's about telling your people's story, your family's story, your friend's story, your coworker's story. And those of us that can tell that story well are going to be successful. Now for me, I mentioned it, I wasn't a great athlete growing up. I played everything. I wasn't very good. Wasn't going to go anywhere beyond high school. But I knew from first or second grade, my first grade teacher moved up with us from first to second grade. I grew up outside of Philadelphia before moving to Chicago. And my teacher would regularly complain to my parents that I was disrupting class by giving the updates of last night's game. Over first grade, maybe second. Anybody seen the movie Back to the Future? Right? Okay. If you haven't, I tell this to every group, there's always, like, go home and watch it tonight wherever it's streaming. It's one of the best movies of all time. This is my Back to the Future moment. How do you know that's me? Actually looks just like my son, who's now about to turn 20, but I think that was me about 14, 15 years old. This is what I wanted to do. My friend that was behind the camera in his basement wanted to be the tech guy. He went on to work for Oprah and has his own production company now, and so it all worked out. You know that is legit if you're a child of the 70s and 80s if you're wearing a sweater like that. I think they say it might even be coming back. I'm not sure. I don't think that that's really a good thing. And I didn't realize that I'd live in Kansas City all these years later. That was in Chicago where I went to high school, that I picked the Chiefs to beat the Bills, which played really well for me last year. But this is what I wanted to do. I could never have imagined, and this is the beauty of dreams and dreaming big. People always say, don't give up on your dreams. Yeah, but it's more than that. Sometimes those dreams evolve and they turn into things we could have never imagined. I didn't know that I would talk about other people's dreams. I didn't know that I would tell other people's stories. I didn't know the joy that would bring people. I didn't know opening day in 2020 would look like this. And while none of you were at opening day because you weren't allowed, maybe you had a cardboard cutout, I'm not really sure. I love this picture as much as it brings back a little bit of PTSD in terms of the world that we were in, because we all can remember what it felt like in March, April, May, and June. And I will tell you right now, as we start getting ready for 2023 and providing some hope and some inspiration with all of our speakers, all good friends of mine, by the way, and I'm so excited to hear Lauren speak, to hear Marquita speak, and to hear Carlos speak, all of whom have been on my podcast. Carlos I wrote about in my book. But we're all here to provide some inspiration because the world is different today than it was in 2020, and I think we're still trying to figure that out. I know for me, I had to figure out how to broadcast baseball, but before I did that, I had to figure out where the paycheck was coming in April, May, June, and July. I get paid by the game, and there were no games. Well, great, at least I have this speaking career. Nobody's hiring speakers right now, were they, Lauren? Until we figured out how to do it virtually. And we still have that option, by the way, but we don't really love it. Nobody really loves it. But you know what? We adapted. We figured it all out. So the world changes. Hopefully it never changes again like the pandemic, but it's going to be something else. It is. This was my pandemic look. It's a terrible look. I think the sweater look was better than that one, but I grew the beard until my wife told me knock it off. It's too much at this point. That was in my walk-in closet, put up a drape behind me, and I did my podcast there because I didn't want to hear the kids and the dogs and all of that type of stuff. And then I graduated to the spare bedroom, and I set up a little studio where I could do some baseball stuff as the season was starting, and podcasts, and who needs socks? And you're welcome, I wore pants that day. But we all can kind of remember what that was like, right? It was just a different world. And everybody always says, well, I want to write a book one day. I want to write a book one day. Well, the pandemic seemed like a good time to write a book. Maybe now is the time. So I wrote my first book, about to start my second one, and this was, as Jack mentioned, Small Ball, Big Results. Small ball, if you follow the Royals, it's the little things. It's the bunts, it's the sacrifices, it's the stolen bases. But I believe that small ball in the real world, because baseball is a fantasy world oftentimes, small ball is the little things that make you successful. We all want to hit the home runs, but what are you doing behind the scenes to elevate your company, your people, those around you in your world? I like to talk about topics when I keynote locally and around the country, topics like trust, topics like accountability. I want to hit you with 4 topics today. We'll run through them quickly. I mean, the name of the podcast is Rounding the Bases, so let's go with 4 hits here. The first is going to be this, hitting the curve. You know what, sometimes the Wi-Fi doesn't work and the food is late and we got to delay things a little bit. It's all right. We deal with that on live TV all the time. You roll with it. You adjust. How many people in here today have every day go exactly as planned? None of us do, right? But can you handle those curveballs that are thrown your way? You know, in baseball terms, guys can hit the fastball. Can they hit the curveball when they don't know that it's coming? That FedEx driver, he actually played some college ball. He was an infielder. Couldn't hit the curveball. Started a minor league career. It didn't work out. He ended up at FedEx. Sometimes I'm doing a show and random people show up. This was before my time in Kansas City, maybe 2006, 2007. I worked in St. Louis for about 9.5 years, and we were doing a Cardinals-Cubs pregame show. Had the whole show mapped out. Producer had it all mapped out, and then Roddy Piper showed up. And I used to watch him when I was wearing one of those sweaters. Now, let's scrap the segment. We're taking him live. And he went on with me, and it looked like this.
And then I'll let him go. There you go. Hey, Bowler and Piper, I am not going to scare anybody. But with you on my side, I feel a lot better.
Yes, I got a kiss live on the air from the late Roddy Piper. He was a legend and the sweetest, nicest guy. And I was so re-energized by that. We had Will Ferrell on. I mean, I could drop all these names, big deal. They're still all people, but you never know what's going to come your way. And I think to me, the biggest thing about it is you got to be ready for it. So why am I showing you a baseball player and his dog? This is a pitcher that's not too familiar in Kansas City, played a handful of games here. A pitcher, relief pitcher by the name of Gabe Speier. He made his big league debut with the Royals back in 2019, pitched a little bit in that short season of 20. And then late in 2021, he's stuck in the minors. He's having a great year. The Royals AAA minor league affiliates in Omaha. Now, they don't fly a plane out to get you. I mean, it's not as much as that sounds great. They need you. You hop in a car and you drive down I-29. If you're out of town with the team, maybe they'll fly you in on commercial. At 5:45, they call Gabe Speier and say, we need you in Kansas City for a 7 o'clock game. He hadn't been up all year long. He calls his wife, pack up the place. She's a couple blocks away, grabs the dog, suitcase, comes and picks him up at the stadium. He hadn't eaten because he was going to do that in the 6 o'clock hour before the Omaha game that night. Grabs the family, gets in the car, and he drives and she navigates. Now, if anybody's done the Kansas City to Omaha drive, that's 3 hours. You want to make it a little closer, that's fine. Royals had no pitchers available. Someone had gotten hurt, I think Wade Davis. They'd used all their pitchers the night before, and sure enough, the starter went out early, and they are thin. And he is pulling up to traffic lights near Kauffman Stadium. He's stretching when the light is red. He hadn't eaten. His wife is navigating. The dog is in the car. He runs into the stadium. He puts on his uniform. He goes down to say hi to all the guys. It's like the 6th or 7th inning. You know, it's after 9 o'clock. And they say, we don't have time for this. You got to go warm up. We need you in 2 batters. Meanwhile, his wife is walking into the stadium with the dog. And they go, ma'am, you don't have a ticket and you have a dog. Well, but my husband, that's fine, just go in. She gets in just in time to see Gabe quickly warming up and coming in to face the number 4 home run hitter in the American League, Matt Olson, who's now with the Atlanta Braves, then with the Oakland A's. Big time left-handed home run hitter. They brought him in to face that lefty, and what did he do? He struck him out. I don't know that we're going to get a call like that, but you never know when your moment comes. Do you have the ability to adapt? That's what hitting the curve is. Next up, attentiveness. I'm going to be quick on this one. But guess what? We live in a day and age where everybody goes and networks while they're doing this. We put that down. Sometimes I'm better at it than other times. But here's the thing, if we're living in this day and age where people don't communicate very well because they're distracted by social media and phones and everything that's being thrown our way, there is a lane to be better than everyone else. I ask everyone all the time, what makes you different? It's not that you're better at selling insurance. It's not that you're better at fill the blank. Are you better with people? Can you do simple things better than others that are overlooked? And people just love to be heard. And when you have that ability to listen, boy, it's a huge step. One of the guests and someone that I wrote about in my book and on the podcast is the CEO of Lockton, Peter Clune. My friend Jennifer Dehan back there introduced us, one of the best guests that I have had. Peter took over as the CEO in, I think, June of 2020. It's one of the biggest insurance brokers in the world. Well, guess what's going on at that point? Everybody's working from home. I said, Peter, what was that first meeting like? How did you handle everybody? You're virtual. And this is what he said.
More so than a speech or a message, mine has been more about listening. I've spent on these last 90 days, just like you and I are talking now, and have had about 250 just one-on-one meetings where I just sit and listen to different people and how they're doing. And you know, my big question to people has been, if you were in charge, what would you do?
If you were in charge, what would you do? And do you all have the ability and the vulnerability to ask that question? Like, I've got no fear in asking people in the television world, the speaking world, hey, if you were me, what would you do? Hey, if you were me about to interview this person, what would you ask? Because here's the thing, people want to be valued. And if you put that ball in their court, and you're actually interested in asking and listening to their opinion, it empowers people. Here's a goal and a challenge for you in 2023. Ask people what they would do and listen. I'm telling you, it will get you ahead. This is my new favorite topic. I wrote about it in the book too, reading the room. I don't know if it's a superpower, it's a skill or what, but this is something that I believe I know how to do, and we all know people that aren't as good at it. It could change your life if you know how to read the room. It leads to better meetings. It leads to better communication. Reading the room is huge. Back in 2014, when the Royals broke their 29-year playoff drought and made it to the World Series and lost in the World Series, players on that team will tell you that Raul Ibanez was one of the biggest keys. Now, Raul Ibanez at that point was 42 years old. He'd been cut by the Los Angeles Angels. He was at the end. He came here, he batted .188 and hit 2 home runs. He didn't even make the playoff roster. So why did everybody say he was so instrumental? Because he's the guy everybody respected. He's the guy that everybody listened to. And he called a big meeting in July of 2014 to rally the troops because they'd lost 4 in a row. We were in Chicago. Players only meeting. I wasn't in there, not allowed in there, but I asked him about that years later. I said, how did you know it was the right time? How did you know that day was the right day? And what he said here to me, let me pass Gordo here real quick. Reading the room is about feel. It's understanding when and where, having the empathy piece to know that guy doesn't want to talk today, and knowing the different personalities. If you're a bull in a china shop, you never notice. If you're a bull in a china shop, you never notice. Take a pause. Read people a little bit. There is a reason why I believe I've been able to do what I've done for so long. Treating people right, being fair to the athletes. You know, when that pandemic story hit and the vaccines, I told the story fairly. I didn't bash anybody, but I told the truth. And you build a reputation by treating people right. Alex Gordon has said to me, I'll pass back to him, I mean, I'm not one of the guys, I'm not one of the players. My friend Chucky back there played in the NFL, and you know, there's a camaraderie and a fraternity with the guys in the room. It starts with the players, the CEOs, the leadership team. But you can hang in that world. You can talk to anyone, celebrity, superstar, CEO, athlete, if you respect their boundaries and you know the right time. If you're a bull in a china shop, you'll never notice. There's a reason why Alex Gordon says that he never turned down an interview with me and why he felt like I was part of the team without me ever being a part of the team. I mean, they gave me a ring, that was amazing, but I'm not one of those guys. But I always made sure that I knew where that dividing line was and treated them right, and they always welcomed me in. Reading the room is about feel, which leads me to my last point. How many people use these? It's like, that's the look I always get, like, I do. Let me put everybody at ease. I use them too. They're easy, right? Did you ever think that these silly little emojis, which really are so quick, and I love people like my friend Dr. Michelle Robin, who rarely texts me. She'll call me and leave me a heartwarming message because she's the queen of kindness. But we live in that age where people are texting a lot. Does anyone have that friend, that family member, or hopefully not a spouse, that when they text you, it's not just going to last 30 seconds, it's going to last 20 or 30 minutes, right? I still have that one really, really close childhood friend that if he ever shows up at one of my speeches, I got to get rid of this part because it's going to set me back an hour. Do you ever think that when people send this emoji back, that they're acknowledging that you've been heard, but they're letting you know that they're busy or they have something else going on? And when you can recognize that, they will always answer your call. There's a reason why all these players talk to me. It's not because they have to. Maybe at this point I'm old and I'm 50 and they're 23. That's a whole nother discussion of generations, and I talk a lot about that in different speeches. But it's because they know that when I ask them for something, I'm going to do exactly what I said and nothing more. Again, Chucky, you remember, media comes over and it's not just one question. It's not just two questions. Man, he's got to go work out. He's got to go see the trainer. He's got to go get ready for a game. He's got to get ready for practice. If I start setting those guys back, not with 1 minute, but 10 minutes, are they going to talk to me again? Never. My mantra when I walk into a locker room is this. When I walk in, I don't want them walking the other way. If I see an athlete and I need him, I'll go up and I say, I need 30 seconds or a minute. Do you have that? But if I see a lot of the rest of the media around, I'll put my mic and camera down. I'll give it to my cameraman and I'll say, hey, I need 30 seconds, but I see the rest of the media here and I don't want to set you back. Are you okay if it turns into more than that, or is it okay if we go somewhere private and quiet? Take care of people, put them in a position of comfort, and they will always take care of you. Reading the room is a skill. When you can do all of that, and if you happen to find a deep purpose, it is powerful. It is so powerful when you love what you do, and you don't even have to love what you do. Can you find a why? When that FedEx driver, I'll keep coming back to him, his why was his kids. And I think that we can go a little bit more than that, but at the minimum, we want to take care of our families and our loved ones, right? That's what motivated him to keep trying baseball in the midst of doing FedEx. But I've come to learn from a lot of guests that it's deeper than that. What in the world is Tech 9 doing on your screen? This is a baseball guy. Well, he's not, I am. But I try to bring all kinds of interesting guests with interesting stories, entrepreneurs, CEOs, causes, and celebrities on my podcast. And I asked Tech 9 about what he dreamed of growing up. What was his dream? And I thought he'd talk about, I want to be a rapper, I want to be a singer. Do we have the ability to dive deeper? Tech 9 did.
I wanted to be a psychiatrist. In high school, the closest thing to it was psychology. So they wouldn't give me the class, so I stole the books and I read them at home. I just wanted to work on the thoughts of people and the feelings of people because I'm a people person. I wanted to listen and give remedies to people in need. But I was a dancer at the same time, you know what I'm saying? And from rhythm came rhyme. Follow me all around the planet, I run the camera, no psychology. They can never measure me, they let you know about you. Writing my life like Quincy Jones told me to do. Write what you know, people will never feel you. When I would go to these towns and have meet and greets, the fans would say, you saved my life with this song. You saved my life with dysfunctional. You saved my life with fragile, about bullying and all this thing. What happened was, my dream as a kid to be a psychiatrist, I became my fan's psychiatrist.
It's always something more. Look in 2023 about some of the victories you have. Not the sales victories, not I got this deal. How did you impact people's lives? I mean, that to me is what I wake up for. Yeah, I get to talk about baseball. It's the greatest. I mean, they pay me to talk about baseball. People say, oh, how are you hanging in there during that 8-game losing streak? I'm good. My mentor, Paul Splittorff, the late Paul Splittorff, one of my early broadcasters, told me, hey, you don't need to be getting upset over the losses. There are a lot of important people who paid a lot of money to lose sleep over them, and you're not it. But there's more than that. Because what I've heard from over time is people that say, I was up at 1 in the morning watching you guys. My grandmother's in hospice, and the last thing that she cares about is just watching you guys every day. I got to go on a USO tour with George Brett and Mike Sweeney and some of those guys on September 11th, 2018, and hang with the troops in Kuwait during a Royals-White Sox game here. It's 3 to 6 in the morning over there. Those troops were waking up in the middle of the night just to get a piece of home. They didn't care about what the score was. And I get to bring that to them. I get to bring them a piece of home. So I want to wrap it up with this and remind you, hit the curve, attentiveness, listen to people, read the room. Do you have the ability to read the room? Don't be a bull in the china shop. And can you dig a little bit deeper on why you do what you do? But we'll close it with this. Why is this guy with a black eye on your screen? Is anybody, this is 60s, it's before my time. Tony Conigliaro was the youngest American League home run champion in 1965. He led the American League in home runs as a 20-year-old. 1963. And a couple of years later, he got drilled in the face, in the eye. You see the look. He missed a full year. Now, why am I bringing that up? I'll tell you in a moment, but let's get back to that FedEx driver. I mean, he wasn't a random FedEx driver. He happened to be a guy that made his debut with the Kansas City Royals in May of this year. He showed up in Cleveland. He had been through it all. FedEx driver, minor leagues, Dominican leagues, on and on. Born in the Dominican, raised in New York. His name is Jose Cuas. And I did a story the night that he debuted that then got picked up, and because a minute 15 of live TV is too long, ESPN cut it down to a 45-second TikTok, which immediately gave me credibility with my teenage kids. See, TikTok's where it's at now. I'm not doing any funny dances either, but here's the story.
It is a debut for Jose Cuas, and this might be the best story we've heard in years. So he converts to pitching in 2017, gets released in 2018, goes back home to Brooklyn. His younger brother was a college pitcher. Jose takes a job working at FedEx. 6 a.m. in the morning, he's up to work at FedEx, working till 8 p.m. most nights in Brooklyn. He would get home and his younger brother would say, "You're not giving up on your dream." They would go to a park in Brooklyn, and he would throw to his brother every single night, sometimes 20, 30 degrees under the one light that they had in that park. And now he is here after going to independent ball, making his big league debut as a pitcher.
I remember that night before the game, he just got there at the last minute. We got to talk to him in the dugout before the game started. He said, I called my mom. They're coming tomorrow. And fortunately, he didn't pitch till the next day, so his family was there. It was the coolest thing ever. He said, Mom, they got me staying in the Ritz-Carlton. I've never been in a place like this before. He goes, I don't know if they're going to make me do the dishes. He had a really good year. He's got a really bright future. I heard him on the radio the other day on a national radio show talking about, I've made it. Now I want to be the best relief pitcher in all of baseball. He was just named the other day the Tony Conigliaro Award winner, awarded to anyone who has overcome adversity through the attributes of spirit, determination, and courage that were the trademarks of Tony C. That guy that came back from that bad eye, kept on living his dreams. Jose Cuas, not a local award, an award that comes out of Boston, was just named as the Tony C. Award winner. It's the best story that I've told in 15 years. Jose Cuas is living his dreams right now. There were a lot of curveballs along the way, a lot of stops along the way. Never stop dreaming. Keep dreaming in 2023. Never underestimate the power of a dream. Appreciate everybody being out here. It's so good to have everybody here in person as we get close to the holidays. If you want to get hold of me, I'll be here all night long, or that screenshot has all my information as well, the QR code. So thank you all so much. Lauren is coming up next, and Marquita and Carlos as well. Grateful for all of you being here. Thank you so much.
I had the privilege of sharing the stage with Joel Goldberg once before. And my daughter and my son-in-law were supposed to come. Is that me? All right. It's all me. My daughter and my son-in-law were supposed to come, and my son-in-law said, I'll come, but only if you'll introduce me to Joel Goldberg. So he's my leverage, so to speak. I want you to think about one of the most valuable lessons that you have ever learned in your life? Got it? You got one? Do you remember where you were when you learned that lesson? Most of us can. Where were you when you learned that lesson? Yes. No, Courtney, hang on. I'm coming to you. Is it Kate?
Yes.
Kate, because I saw you nodding.
Yes, but then I was thinking, I remember what book I was reading. I don't remember the specific time.
What was the book?
It's by Pete Walker. It's called Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder From Surviving to Thriving.
That has depth. Thank you for that. Courtney, where were you?
I-35 in Pinway.
Okay. Are you comfortable sharing the lesson?
The lesson was that time is a gift and not a promise.
Time is a gift and not a promise. Last week in a keynote, I did that. I said, do you remember where you were? And the fellow said, in my bedroom. I'm walking away from that one. Okay. I know where I was when I learned most of the most valuable lessons I learned in my life. And that was sitting cross-legged on the driveway with my father as he worked on one of our cars. My father was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. He stood 6 feet, 6.5 inches tall, and was 285 pounds on his very leanest day. Dad had a personality that entered the room 5 minutes before he did. The colonel was an all-around handyman, a Mr. Fix-It, truly the MacGyver of his day. He was always working on or tinkering with something. He'd work around the house. He'd work on our cars. He'd work on the neighbors' cars. And I would help him. Helping him normally involved sitting with him to keep him company and handing him a tool every now and then as he talked to me about life. So many times, I can't even count, thousands of times in my life, he would stop in the middle of his sentence and he would say, pay attention, kid. This right here, this is a road sign in your life. You have to decide if you're going to follow it or not. It wasn't until after he passed that I realized what those road signs were. They were life lessons that he knew would be crucial to my health, my happiness, and my positive impact on the world. Nowadays, I call them kernels of wisdom. And they are the basis of my book series, Kernels of Wisdom. Joel's book, by the way, is available at the back table, as are mine, if you have any interest. On this particular day that I am remembering, Dad said to me, we were discussing the difference between being successful and being significant. You see, success, most of us are programmed to chase success. Success is inwardly focused. Success is about how much money I make and what my title is and what my accolades or accomplishments are. Success is about me. Significance, on the other hand, is outwardly focused. Significance has nothing whatsoever to do with compensation packages and parking spots. Significance is about how many lives you touch and the manner in which you choose to impact them, because how we impact others is a choice. Significance is about we. The colonel used to say, anyone can be successful, kiddo. Choose to be significant. Because of who my father was and what he did for the Air Force, I had the privilege of sitting at the feet of some truly significant leaders, in addition to my father. I had the privilege of knowing and learning from the late John McCain. I had the privilege of meeting and learning from, sitting at lunch when I was in junior high school. I attended a bring your daughter to work day. My father was the division chief for the Flight Dynamics Laboratory at Wright-Patterson, Arizona, at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. And there was a visiting officer from the National War College in a cross-branch meeting of some sort. So I had the privilege of sitting at lunch between the colonel and then Lieutenant Colonel Colin Powell. And he asked me questions about myself. And he listened to the answers. And I was certain that we were going to be best friends for life. And while I never had the privilege of meeting that amazing man again, because we were fast friends now, I followed his career and clipped out newspaper clippings and read everything he ever wrote. So I learned from my dear friend, Colin Powell. I've also learned from the late, great Mary Kay Ash and Dr. John C. Maxwell, who is the global authority on servant leadership. Over the last 5 years, I have steeped down the most important aspects of significant leadership into what I call the 9 essentials of significant leadership. And they are the foundation of everything that I teach. So what I'd like to do today, with your permission, is I'd like to drop the 9 on you, and then I want to dig deeply into 2 of them. Fair enough? All right, 9 essentials of significant leadership. First, understand your own value. Know what you bring to the table. Not because of your title, but because you're a human being. See, leadership has nothing whatsoever to do with the title you hold. Leadership is an inside job. So understand the value that you bring to the table. Essential number 1, understand your own value. Essential number 2, treat all people with respect. We're going to dig deeper into that one. Essential number 3, act with integrity at all times. Integrity, this is my definition. You're not going to find it in Merriam-Webster, it's just mine. And it's not original to me either. I learned it from that great sage Anonymous. Integrity is doing what's right because it's right every time, whether anyone's looking or not. So act with integrity at all times. Essential number 4, open your mind to new possibilities. A closed mind cannot lead, and a closed mind cannot grow. Essential number 5, cast a vision. But in casting a vision, that's not about where the company or the organization is going. Significant leaders go beyond that. Significant leaders paint a picture for each and every person in their charge of what it's going to look like, feel like, be like when we together as an organization get to the end of that rainbow. Why does it matter to them? They don't care why it matters to you. You have to figure out why it matters to them. Cast a vision. Essential number next, 6. 6, thank you. Communicate respectfully. The best definition of communicating respectfully that I've ever heard in my life is not mine. But I use it with permission. Say what you mean what you say, and don't be mean when you say it. That's profound in its simplicity. I wish I could take credit for it. Comes from my dear friend Meryl Runyon, comes from her book Power Phrases. Essential number 7, lead by example. We're going to dig into that one. Essential number 8, celebrate the results of others. Significant leaders do not look for recognition. Significant leaders look to give recognition. And essential number 9, work for your replacement. A significant leader's number 1 job above all things is to replace themselves. And that is the difference between servant leadership and significant leadership. Significant leadership takes servant leadership 1 step forward. Because servant leadership from a servant's heart asks nothing in return as they lead. Significant leaders expect that those they lead will turn into significant leaders and create a ripple effect that builds more significant leaders. All right. So, essential number 2, treat all people with respect. I read in a book once when I was younger than I am today. The book was called How to Deal with Difficult People. It was by Paul Friedman. I don't know if Friedman intended this to be profound. It was profound to me. So I took it on as a standard for my life. Friedman said this: I choose to treat this person with respect, whether or not I like what they think, say, or do. Now, I took that to mean that even if they're not treating me with respect, I choose to treat them with respect. And the operative word in that sentence would be what? Thank you. Yes, it's a choice. It's a choice we make every day. I call it walking higher ground. It is the foundation upon which I have tried very hard to build my life and my business. Now, some people believe that functioning from that paradigm, treating other people with respect, even though they're not treating me with respect, would put them at a disadvantage. Nothing could be further from the truth. Because higher ground is always the most powerful place to be. I mean, certainly from a military perspective, higher ground is where you want to be. But from a personal perspective as well. Because when we are on higher ground, we rarely, if ever, need to question our intentions. And we rarely, if ever, need to scrub our feet off from mucking down in the muck. Now, I believe that we all try. I do. I sincerely believe that we all try. We are all human. Some days we fall right off of that higher ground. Those are poop days. Then we have to scrub our feet off, climb back up, and we try again the next day. Then we have some days where we've got one foot up here on higher ground, and we're dragging the other one in the gutter behind us. And we hope that nobody's noticing that we're dragging one foot in the gutter, because every now and then, it feels good to drag one foot in the gutter. Come on, doesn't it? Every now and then, it feels good to gossip about other people, to chortle at their misfortune, to expand the story in the telling to solidify your own position, to wallow in bitterness or refuse to forgive. But at the end of that day, we have to look ourselves in the eye. Scrub that one foot off before we'll slide it into our nice clean sheets. Now, it's really important that you all understand what I'm asking of you here. I am not expecting you to respect all people. I've met people. I've observed people. I have people in my circle, not my inner circle. Our circles are pretty large. That I can in no way respect, for whatever reason. Maybe it's their behaviors. Maybe it's the choices they continually make. Maybe it's the wording that they choose, or our differing ethics. I can in no way respect them. That doesn't mean that I don't choose every day to treat them with respect. And that's the difference. Essential number 2 is treat all people with respect. It's about respect to people, not respect for people. And that's a crucial difference. In 2022, heading into 2023, that is a crucial difference in the United States. Because wouldn't it be great if we could treat each other with respect? Wouldn't it be great if we could go back to agreeing to disagree and treating each other with respect anyway? That's about understanding a universal commonality. Not long ago, I was enjoying a quiet moment in a park. And I happened to have been in Washington, D.C., and I saw two men in a very heated exchange at a bench beside me. They were arguing about politics. Can you imagine that in 2022? Their conversation became loud, and then it became ugly, and I thought it might actually come to blows. So I got up to walk away from that had shattered my peace, when suddenly this toddling little girl came along, chasing a ball. And as she giggled and gamboled along, she tripped and went face first on the asphalt. Instantaneously, these two men jumped to her rescue. They picked her up, they brushed her off, they made sure she wasn't hurt too badly. They identified and waved down her mother. They set aside their differences organically, immediately, to become community for this little girl. And as her grateful mother carried her away, I watched them chatting easily, almost sheepishly. Both of them seemingly unwilling to go back to their self-righteous argument. Folks, so much about us is the same. We are the same. We may look different. We may sound different. We may believe different things. We may use different words. But we all are the same in understanding a universal humanness, what it is to be human. Folks, we are all nourished by the same foods and sickened by the same toxins. We are attacked by the same diseases and cured by the same medicines. We all laugh. We all cry. We all want to live and grow in a just society. We all want to learn in a safe space. Love thrills us, and hatred poisons our hearts. We all expand with knowledge and contract with ignorance. We all want to be loved, and we all want to belong to something that is bigger than ourselves. If we could, 99% of what we are as human beings, we have in common with every other human being on the planet. If we could just focus on that, rather than on how we're different, this concept of treating each other with respect would be so much easier. Treat each other with respect. Treat all people with respect, whether or not you like what they think, say, or do. If we could start that movement, how would that change the world? How would that change America? How would that change Kansas City? Essential number 7, lead by example. Let's start by treating each other with respect. But when I say lead by example, what does that mean to you? Who can give me what lead by example feels like to them? What does that mean to you? Someone.
Hold yourself accountable.
Hold yourself accountable. Thank you for that. I'm going to come back to that. Heidi. What else?
Walk the talk.
Walk the talk. Thank you for that. Helen. Practice what you preach. All of these are true. As significant leaders, there are thousands of facets of leading by example. And as significant leaders, it's important to understand that you're being watched all the time. And I don't mean in a creepy way. I don't mean to make you paranoid, but your team is watching you all the time, not just in the office. If they run into you at the restaurant, they're watching to see how you treat the wait staff. They're watching to see how you treat people who can seemingly do nothing for you. They're watching you all the time. And as significant leaders, we need to be up to that challenge. The one facet of leading by example that I want to touch base with you on is maintaining a consistently positive attitude. As significant leaders, it is your responsibility to identify the light at the end of the tunnel and convince your team it's not a train. Right? I mean, we all talk about a positive attitude. The colonel used to say your attitude determines your altitude. I've subsequently discovered that that was not original to my father. I think Zig Ziglar said it first. But the colonel was the first one that I ever heard it from, which is why I attribute it to him, and it was an absolute in our household. Because you were always leaking. The question is, what are you leaking? Is it positive and fragrant? Or is it negative and skunky? We have all met people who walk into a room and the entire room lights up, Dr. Robin. And I've seen it consistently as I travel and train across the country, whether it's a boardroom or a meeting room or a ballroom or an arena. You see these bright lights walk into a room, and if you know them, you do this. Oh, hey, I got a seat for you. I saved a seat. Okay. We've also met people who walk into a room and they suck the very light and life from the space. I've seen that too. Those great black holes, those tar pits of negativity, walk into a space and you suddenly get, you see them out of the corner of your eye, you suddenly get very focused on your seminar agenda. And you casually pick up your coat or your backpack and you set it in the seat next to you to indicate that that seat is not available. I see it all the time. You cannot have an impact on anyone that refuses to be around you. Now, it may surprise you that people with consistently positive attitudes don't always wake up positive. There are days that I wake up and I say, "Good morning, God." There are other days that good God, it's morning. And that's when I need to discipline myself, do what I know that I need to do to screw my head on straight before I start my day. A positive attitude is a discipline. So, the best example of choosing to be significant that I've ever encountered in my life came not from the colonel, but from a chance encounter with a woman named Valerie in a bathroom in an airport, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, at that time, every bathroom in the airport at Charlotte, North Carolina had a bathroom attendant. It was their job to make sure that the toilet paper and the paper towels were stocked, clean up any messes that might happen. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's a pretty crappy job. I thought so, until that day in October of 2007. I landed in Charlotte. I had a 3-hour layover. I came off the jet bridge and I did exactly what everyone does when they come off the jet bridge, which is go to the bathroom. So there I was with my rollerboard and my laptop bag, and I came around the corner and I heard someone singing in the bathroom. I thought to myself, someone is singing in a public restroom. I don't have to go that bad. But I did have to go that bad. So I continued in and I encountered Valerie Washington. She stood 5 feet, 5 inches tall. She wore wire-rimmed glasses, cornrows in her hair, and a crisp, starched uniform shirt. No lines, no waiting, no lines. Everybody gets a seat. Everybody gets a seat. Hey, welcome to Valerie's Happy Restroom. And as she guided me towards the large corner stall, she says, "Oh, looky here. I got the penthouse for you today. You are the VIP. It's very important that you get a seat in Valerie's Happy Restroom. This is where you go pee happy." I was astounded. I mean, I needed to figure out what the secret was. I was enjoying my job okay. I wasn't singing about it. So I asked her if I could buy her a cup of coffee. I had a 3-hour layover. I didn't have anything else to do. So I found out when she had a 15-minute break, and I bought her a cup of coffee. Ain't no secret, Miss Lauren. Sunshine on the inside makes sunshine on the outside. If you can't have fun at work, don't go. I said, Valerie, how do you do it? How do you stay so positive dealing with all the snippy travelers and the grumpy people? She says, oh, they're just lost. Life is pushing on them and pushing on them. Sometimes they're moving so fast they forget to stop and look around them. That's why I'm here. You see, the good Lord put me here to remind people that sunshine on the inside makes sunshine on the outside. Nobody responsible for sunshine but you. You got to make your own sunshine. I said, Valerie, you are amazing. Haven't you ever wanted more? Now, she thought about that for a minute. What more could I ask for? Every day, thousands of people come into Valerie's happy restroom. They're grumpy, they're tired, they're snipping at each other. I make them laugh. I made you smile. I make them smile. I send thousands of smiles back out to the world every single day. Who could ask more than that? Whoa, pay attention, kid. This is a road sign in your life. I learned so much from Valerie Washington that day. I learned that happiness is in the heart. It's not in the circumstances. I learned that no one's responsible for my sunshine but me. Valerie was a significant person. The colonel challenged both of his daughters every day to look past success to significance. Now, let's come back to accountability on leadership. So many times I hear, well, we just need to be more accountable. Well, the team just needs to be more accountable. If you could just come in and make them accountable, that would be really helpful. Okay, you know, I've discovered that most people don't wake up choosing to be unaccountable. Most people don't wake up thinking, oh, I'm going to be a slacker today. Okay? A lack of accountability narrows down to about 3 or 4 primary issues, and guess what? They're all leadership issues. Now, I don't have time to tell you what they are today, but I wrote a white paper about it last year that I'm happy to send to you. So if everyone would grab their phone, because studies show that no one is, in 2022, we are no more than 36 inches from our phone 24 hours a day. So grab your phone, and if you will send a text, the telephone number is, or the text to 411-321. 411-321. The word you're going to text is significance. Significance. That will send you my white paper on accountability and leadership. The significance, 411-321. And then within 24 hours, you will also receive my white paper on the 9 essentials of significant leadership. So you get both of those within 24 hours. Folks, the colonel was a significant leader. Because of that, I have made being a significant leader and building significant leaders part of my passion. It is my passion. What would the world look like if we could build a brand new generation of leaders that functions through the filter of empathy, compassion, inclusion, and personal accountability? Boy, I think that's worth a shot. I am the colonel's daughter. I do so wish that each and every one of you would choose to join me in the pursuit of significance over success. Thank you for your time.
I am excited to be here, and it's just always great to come out to these events. And so we've heard some dynamic information already. How many of you got something that if you had to leave right now, you're like, you know what, I could take a takeaway. I got a takeaway that I could leave with. You got a takeaway? You got That's great. We should have takeaways. So as Jack told you, I own an account. I don't know if he mentioned it. I own an accounting firm here in Kansas City, Missouri. So I may throw some accounting terms at you a little bit. It'll be okay. But anytime I go somewhere, I always will say, you know, shouldn't I get an ROI for this, right? Return on investment. My friend Cynthia, she's a tax professional, so she understands that. Return on investment. Don't you want a return on investment for your time? Time is so precious. If we learned a whole lot of lessons, right? We learned a whole lot of lessons during the pandemic. And if nothing more, we learned the lesson that time is precious. Time is valuable. I don't say time is short because I feel I'm really big on wordplay. Because when you say it's short, then it becomes short for you. And I want to live a full life, all out. I want to get purpose out. I want to make sure that I do the thing that I've been set on this earth to do. So I won't say it's short, but I will say it's precious. So it's precious, then that means the owner of the ROI is not necessarily on the speaker that speaks. Yeah, they got a role to do, right? But the real ROI, because you can't give that kind of power away. That's power to say that, you know what, I only get an ROI if you deliver? Are you kidding me? No way, no way. I can't give that kind of power up. I get an ROI wherever I'm going to go because I go in there with a purpose. Why am I here? Why now? And why am I with the people that I'm sitting around the table with? Why am I here? And did you connect with certain people in the room? Why did you hear certain presentations? Why did I hear about the need with City Union Mission? Is that some action that I'm supposed to take? And so we have to, Joel talked about asking those questions, right? Asking yourself those questions. Never get away from asking questions. I have a mentor that says when you ask a better question, you get a better answer. And if you'll ask those questions of yourself, then you will begin to make sure that you can guarantee. See, no accountant can guarantee an ROI. No investment advisor can guarantee a great ROI. But you can guarantee your ROI today. You can guarantee. No money back. You can guarantee. When you really put yourself in position to say, you know, time is precious, and I ought to get an ROI out of this. And I need to make sure that when I leave here, did I leave here because I connected with someone that maybe that was my power connection, or maybe I connected with someone and they inspired me. They spoke to purpose inside of me. They said something that ignited me. And I don't want to just leave here and feel good, but I want to leave here and do something with that. That's what I want us to think about, because life is precious. And so as we venture on, and I'm going to talk about profit. That's right, we're going to talk about profit. I'm coming for the profit. But one key thing is that the exchange of information tonight, and even from this event, I want to put that power back in your hand. And I want to give you a charge to make tonight, and anytime you go somewhere, a time that you can say, what was my takeaway from that? Did I waste time? Or did I really listen to hear something? As we were sitting at the table that I'm at, I brought all entrepreneurs with me because I love entrepreneurs. Every one of them are bosses in their own right. They own businesses. They're doing amazing things. But one thing about that when you're traveling with entrepreneurs, when entrepreneurs have to stop, yeah, I think there are entrepreneurs in the room. When they stop, they're walking away from something else. When they say yes to one thing, they're saying no to something else. So you said no to something else to be here, and I'm so glad that you did. I'm so happy that you said no to whatever else that's there, and you said yes to this moment. But this yes to this moment is all about you. It's all about you. This is where you get. I heard someone, I think it was Joel, that made mention about thinking about other people, and Joel is that person, absolutely. And I love that. Yes, you do want to think about others. You want to be of service. And Lauren talked about being that next level of servant leadership, being significant. But I'm going to ask you this. When do you recognize the value that you bring? Because some of us are experts at tooting other people's horns. We can talk about, oh my gosh, she's so amazing. He's so amazing. He does this, he does that. You've got to meet her. She's stellar. But when someone asks you to talk about you, you're like, I'm a school teacher. No. You're not just a school teacher. You are amazing at educating students that will change the world. So we have to remember, we got to change the way we think about who we are and give ourselves permission to toot your own horn, because everyone in here carries value. I mean, there are some like bad to the bone folks up in this room. I mean, y'all like thebomb.com in this room. You got to think that way about yourself. And so, what value do you bring when you come in a room? When you step in the room, do you change it because you really listen to someone when you're doing the networking? Or are you looking at your clock? You're like, yeah, oh, that's so nice, yeah. Are you really listening? Or is it just casual conversation? It may be that, but you could be missing like the aha, the best friend that you need to have in this next season, or a hint of success for something that is the thing that would push you to the next level, because we become professional at being in two places at one time. We can be right here, but in our mind, we're like, okay, I got to get that pot roast. I need to make that reservation across the street. My brother over here, he's ready to go across the street to Jay Gilbert's. I got you. We're going there. But in the midst of that, we got to be present in the moment. You got to be present in the moment, because you don't want to miss there's something that you had to get. You can think, why am I listening to this screaming girl? I promise you there's something you have to get. And it's about the profit. So let's dig into profit. First, I want you to consider, when you're thinking about profit, you have to pursue your success. That's why I asked you, what value do you bring to the room? Because anything that you do not value, then abuse is inevitable. If you don't see yourself as valuable, if you don't see there's lots of entrepreneurs in the room, and there's speakers, and if you don't see that what you bring to the table is worth something, that people need to do business with your insurance agency because you take the extra step to really care and understand about their business and make sure they get the right product. It's not just a product, you got the customer service that goes with it. If you don't understand the value that you bring, then you're missing something. So I want to encourage you to pursue your value. Pursue your passion. What's that thing that makes you tick? What's the thing that, as I was sitting there and I heard him talk about kids and toys, and there's a date, I'm like, okay, I donated on the front end to City Union Mission before he'd even had the presentation. Because I understand that money's great, but guess what? Here's the thing about that. We all, at the end of the day, no one's got a truck going behind them when they pass with their money. Brinks is not following the hearse. It's not. If money's the only reason you do something, then that's the error. It has to be about more significance. What are you going to do when you reach that next level? What are you going to do if you get that next promotion? Who does it impact? What is the difference if you start the business and you have the award-winning business? Whose life does it impact? And so when I think often about the things that I went through, and everyone in this room has a story, I think about the times that after my parents separated and my mom became a single-parent mom, and she did not have school supplies for us to go back to school. And I remember being in the 6th grade, and she was like, well, we'll get them as we go along, but you'll start here. So guess what today? It doesn't matter who's got a school supply drive. I'm your girl. I'm all the way in, period. Because I don't want to ever see a child not get to have the fancy Trapper Keeper. You remember the Trapper Keeper? I mean, I wanted that thing. That was so fancy. And so I was like, I can't get the Trapper Keeper. But guess what? I make sure that children today, if that's what needs to happen and I'm around, I can't hear it. because I'm absolutely going to figure out a way to make it happen. And that way may be the things that I do that produces income, but it's a greater purpose. So pursue your purpose. What causes you to tick? When you hear something, what just like bubbles makes you excited? I have a girlfriend that anytime she hears anything about diversity, she like goes there. And I'm like, okay, I'm concerned too, but I don't want to hold the rally. But that's her deal. And she operates in that vein. I'm like, I'll donate, but no, I'm not coming. It's not my deal. Everyone has something. What is your deal? What's your deal? What matters to you? And I want you to think about that, and I want you to pursue it with all your passion. And don't just kind of do it. See, you've probably already figured out that I don't just like kind of show up. I really want to show up, okay? You probably figured that out. And that's intentional because I value your time. I value the opportunity to be able to do this, to talk to people, impart people. I love what I do. And so because I value it and I take it very serious, I want to make sure that when I leave this moment that we have this exchange, you have something to walk away with that can help you to move forward. So we're going to pursue our own value, and we're going to pursue our purpose. And then I want us to begin to think about our resources. What resources do you have around you? One of the greatest resources are people. Such an asset. People are such an asset. And sometimes we overlook. You can be a networking event. You're like, oh, I got to meet that person. I got to get to Joel. And then you overlook someone else. And it's like, Joel is super amazing. However, the person sitting next to you at the table has the secret sauce for what you need. Did you talk to them? Did you really have a quality conversation? Did you get their number? And oh, resource, here's a real big one. Did you follow up? Oh my gosh, card exchange is like everyone's passing cards and they're just going 90, going north. Did you make an exchange that made such a mark that I don't have to find your card because I know I'm going to follow it with you? Because there's something that when we connect it, isn't that different than just cards passing out? I stopped printing all those cards. I was like, enough with that. I'm getting a virtual card, we'll exchange, and if there's connection, then let's not say we're going to meet. I just said that. That's us. We're not going to meet. We're going to lunch. We're not going to just talk about it. We're going to be about it. What resources do you have around you? People are your greatest resource. They're one of your greatest resources. Do not undervalue it. Do not undervalue those around you, and certainly do not undervalue the people in your family that are around you. Sometimes we're so great to want to go out and meet others, and we forget who's in our house, especially as adults. Who are those little adult people that are adults, but they kind of still need money? Some of you got those people? Yeah, I've got some of those too. Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm grown. Oh, but I need $100. I thought you were grown. What happened? Okay, I'm confused. But they carry such information. And if you'll just pause long enough to have a quality conversation, you'd be shocked what you'd find out. Those business owners in the room, your greatest consultant that you could you've really paid them already, trust me, to bring them in to say, tell me what you see wrong in this company. Just shadow me for a day. And they would say, why are you doing that? My daughter literally hurt my feelings. She just crushed me. She's like, so tell me, why do y'all put them, this was a while ago, why do y'all write them messages down like that? Why is it not like electronic? I'm like, because we don't know how to do that. Well, today she created that, so it's all electronic. It came as a result of allowing her to come in and say, why are you doing it that way? The Google sheet, I love Excel, I'm Excel. She's like, why are you guys are all touching that and redoing the sheet. Why don't you just put it in the Google thing? Because I don't know how to work the Google thing. If I knew how to work the Google thing, then I'd work the Google thing, but I don't know how to work the Google thing. She's like, I can show you. And so there we go with that. And then with Zoom and all of the things. And so the key is resources. You have some valuable resources at your hand, and they already owe you money, so, you might as well go ahead and get your ROI on it. So don't overlook them. And then the resources of, Kansas City, Listen, I will tell you, I will be very honest, probably about 15 years ago, I was like, I got to get to Dallas because that's the mecca of entrepreneurship. Everyone is killing it. And I can tell you, Kansas City, you're a business owner, you're in the right city, period. There are so many resources. I have traveled. Speaking gives me that ability. I told you I love what I do. To go across the United States and to meet with people, meet with business owners and find out resources. When I tell them about, do you guys have a business hub? They're like, a business what? I'm like, a hub where the KC Source Link and the Fast Track. And they're like, no, no, no. And some of it's free. They're like, no, no, no. We have some excellent resources. So if you're someone that's sitting here and you're thinking, you know, maybe I want to pursue entrepreneurship, but I don't know where to start. And, you know, Jack talked about one of my signature programs, no more excuses, only results. So, you know, I don't take those excuses. You know, can't give me an excuse, got to give me results, can't give me excuses. I would start my business, but I don't have money. Sounds like an excuse. What do you have? How can you start now today? I would start a business, but I don't have time. Oh, you have time. If you look at TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, you have time. You have time. You have time. No excuses. And so what resources are available to you, and are you seizing those resources? For profit, you got to pursue it, and you got to identify your resources. And this one I love. This is my favorite one we're going to. Own it! Own it. Own who you are. Own what you're called to do. Own it, period. Whatever space you play in, own it. Be willing to go to the next level. I cannot tell you how many courses I go to for taxation. I'm an enrolled agent with the IRS, which is the highest designation the Internal Revenue Service provides you to be able to represent taxpayers to help them with tax issues and laws and that kind of thing. I have been in more conferences because you can't own it if you don't understand and get the information in your industry. Are you owning your place in your career and life? And guess what? You have to own it in your marriage. Oh, I'm coming for it. Yep, Own it in your marriage. Don't be great everywhere else and then short circuit your marriage or your partner. This is the person that you said I do to. Be willing. We invest in everything else. Are you investing in the one you said I do to? I'll tell you, it's important to do it every time I do this event. It's very unique because when I started doing NSA, we had called them speaker showcases before this. I was married at that time. I'm married at this time. You won't get confused. I'll help you catch up. And so I was married at that time, and one of the very first showcases, so that we won't get confused, my husband's name at that time was Tommy, okay? I'm going to help you so we won't be like, which is she talking about? But his name was Tommy. And so he was in the hospital during the time that I did the first speaker showcase. And so I remember coming and doing that showcase, and then there was another time something happened, I had to do the showcase, and he was no longer here. He passed. Very unexpected. Wasn't thinking that would happen. I remember the presentation. There was nothing in my mind that thought he would transition before the age of 50. But it happened. Unexpected, but it happened. Now I was faced with, you remember those events that I used to have, no more excuses, only results? I was like, oh my gosh, you know, my world is upside down. And baby, it was upside down. Feel like Humpty Dumpty. And so in the midst of my kids, those dang on kids, one of them said, you know, Mom, you said there's no excuses, so is death the excuse? I'm like, you're darn tootin' this excuse. It's a very good excuse. And I don't want to hear nothing about nothing else. Because I'm not doing anything else, because it's an excuse. Then she walked away. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's kind of, maybe so, maybe not. I don't know. And then I went right back out there, and I held another event. And then I came right back to NSA, talked again. But I had another depth of where I would talk about from that point. Because I had to own that experience. And going through that experience taught me, you know, life is precious. The things you say yes to, they better count. Because time is precious. And so then as life went a journey, and we'll take the journey because I don't want to leave you there. I met an amazing man and got married 3 years ago. We just celebrated our 3rd year anniversary and still navigating the whole grief journey because that grief is never a destination. It's a journey from that standpoint. But I stand before you in a different place. And guess what? The things I used to argue with Tommy about, I can promise you I don't argue with Raymond about. I'm like, boy, put the clothes wherever you want to put them. I don't even care. We will hire someone. This is not an argument. Drop all the little crumbs you want as you're eating and talking. Go right ahead. That would have drove me crazy before. I'm like, you don't see those crumbs? You don't see those crumbs? Now I'm like, no, I'm not arguing over that because I want to own this moment and be invested in the person who's being invested with me. Own your now. Own your situation. Own it. Because life is precious. And then you have to focus. At some point, you got to just flat out focus. There's lots of distractions. There's lots of chatter. There's lots of things that are happening. Dream killers, haters, all kind of things. You name it. Everyone's got something that can cause them to lose focus. And I am not playing down big things that happen in people's lives. Trust me. But at some point, you got to pull back. You got to pull yourself back, and you got to look at that thing and say, does this change who I am? And I will tell you that situation definitely changed who I am. And it was for the better, because I began to really take serious time of daytime and not be on my phone during daytime and doing all these other things. I believed in the principle of be where your feet is at. You know that, be where your feet is at. Your feet somewhere, be there. Be where your feet's at. But in the midst of that, in focusing, how can you bring your focus back to the thing that's key for you right now? The thing you should be, yes, we are almost getting ready to close the year out, but it's not over. And you still got time to win. You still got time to nail some of those goals down, accomplish some of those things that you said you wanted to do 2 years ago. Look at that list, dust it off, and say, what can I do before the year ends? And get focused. Get focused. And when you get focused, then you got to get some information. You got to get some information. Information on how can you be better? What can you do better? What can you do differently? What did you learn from that? Information. Information is only, people say information is powerful, but it's only powerful if it connects with you, if it resonates with you. That's when it becomes powerful, because people are throwing words all over the place. But it becomes information that connects with you, what I like to refer to as impartation, when it connects with you. And that's what I really hope, that there's something that will be said today, and even if it's not from me as the speaker, but from someone that you came out that will be such an impartation for you, that it may be the thing that changes your life, or it may be the thing that pushes you to do something different, or it may be the thing that opens up the aha for what is next for you. Information will do that. Information will do that. And I want you to think about your talent. That old talent. Everyone in here has a talent. Everyone in here has a talent, and your talent can bring you a treasure. That's right. The thing that you're good at doing, the thing that people say, oh, you make it look so easy when you do it. And you're like, oh, it's nothing. I just baked 100 cookies. I just did that overnight. I ran home and just did it really quickly, while others are like, no, I paid people to bake cookies. Whatever your thing is, investigate that. You enjoy doing it. You make it look easy. People compliment you all the time on it. You get energized from doing it. Pursue your talent. Pursue your talent. Don't let it go undervalued. Pursue it. Own it. Because it's your talent. I have a girlfriend that's a therapist, and all the time I talk to her, she's like, this is my jam. I'm like, what in the world? And she's like, that just means that's the thing that I like that. I'm like, okay, why did he say jam? But okay, we'll go with that. What is your jam? What is the thing that connects with you? Because I promise you, when you begin to ask yourself, what did I say earlier? A better question. you'll get a better answer. You got it. I love you guys. You're a great class. You're a great class. You'll get a better answer because you're very talented. And if I really struggled when I got to the T on profit because I was like, I want to go with talent, but I really want to talk about treasure, and then I really want to talk about time. And so I have a little time, so I'm going to hit you about the power of time. Your time is so valuable. And I can tell you that time can open up doors for you, or time can close doors for you. What do you do? How are you spending your time? Daily. Is it producing an ROI for you? Or is it just happening? I want to challenge you, and I know there are movers and shakers, and I already told you, you're the boss in this room, and you make it happen. You're amazing. You are super talented. Yes, I'm empowering you. I want to speak life into you. Absolutely. That is what I am called to do, to speak and encourage people. So I'm absolutely going to do that. But here's the thing. You gotta take control of your time, because life is not going to stop waiting for you. It's not going to stop. You've got to take control and get in control of your time and say, how am I supposed to be using my time? What's the best use of my time? Because it is the thing that can unlock the door or lock the door. Your time is so valuable, it's so important. And I think your time is your treasure. I think is your treasure. It really is a treasure in the things that you do because it's valuable. And in the thing, one of the things that I often talk about in some presentations is about the difference between cost and price. Cost and price are not the same. For everyone in here, you either bought a table, someone invited you. Guess what? You spent your time. Either you decided to pay the cost or you paid the price. A cost is an expense. I'm challenging you. The price is an investment. What ROI will you get as a result of coming to this event? What ROI will you get as a result of listening to me command you to live your best life? Because I'm absolutely speaking it to you. Because I want someone, if one person leaves out of here and they're like, that little rowdy girl said something that just energized me, if she reawoke the greatness that's inside of me, then it was worth it. Because that's what this is about. That's what National Speakers Association is about. One of the things, empowering people, giving them a source, taking those individuals, and there's some probably in this room, that have a story, and they're like, I got a story, or I'd like to speak. I thought about speaking, but I'm not sure. Maybe, it's some speakers in this room. It's some people in this room that need to embrace the inner speaker that they have. They've been sitting at the table and they're thinking, I could tell my story. I've got leadership principles. I heard someone say, as Lauren was talking, she was like, a person at the table, she's like, I got leadership principles. I could take my leadership principles and I could package them up. You know what was happening? Lauren tapped into something inside of her that said, knock, knock. That's your knock, knock. What's your knock, knock that's knocking at you? It's time for you to answer. And with that, I love you, be empowered, and make sure you get your profit.
I don't know about the 25 minutes. This thing only says 8:38. You want to set me up?
That means 22.
All right. Once again, my name is Carlos Vides, and I'm very happy to be here today. I'm honored to be here. And for those of you that stayed to the very end, I appreciate it, because we put so much effort in putting this event together. And we were quite, frankly, a little bit nervous that we were running late and everything else that happened. But I'm going to make sure that I deliver to you what he said. Yeah. I'm from Honduras. Anybody from Honduras? I knew there was some people from Honduras. I came to this country when I was 16 years old. I immigrated from Honduras. And if you say somebody walked from Honduras to the United States, that would be me. It took me 12 weeks to get to the United States. I will work and take a bus and move on to the next city, work take a bus, move to the next city, all through Mexico. And after about 12, 14 weeks, I made it to the United States, and I was 16 years old. I didn't have a whole bunch of family waiting for me. But if you wonder why did I make that decision, it's because I was 14 years old, between 13 and 14, and I didn't even have a pair of shoes. So, but today I'm wearing very cool shoes. I bought this brand, I like this brand of shoes that come from Spain. I specifically ordered them for me. They're very cool. So that's the American dream. But when I got to the United States, the one thing also I discovered that I didn't speak English. So I had to learn English as well. And for those of you that sometimes said, I don't have time for anything. I don't have time to read a book. I don't have time to do absolutely anything. Well, I'd say to you, the way I learned English was as I was working, I had a Walkman. Who knows about the Walkmans? There's a couple. There we go. I had Walkmans, I had tapes, and I would listen to English as I'm learning, as I'm working. So instead of listening to music or gossip and have all those things going on, I would listen to English all day long. My goal was to learn 100 words per day of English. And I did that constantly every day of my life. People would laugh at me. And at break time, I did not sit with the Hispanics to eat. I would sit with the American people to eat and be practicing my words. And they were like, why you do that? I mean, you know, you don't want to be Hispanic? I said, no, you guys talk junk, trash. I want to sit down with the American people that can speak English with me so I can practice my English. I said that to you to tell you this. If you think you're too busy in life to accomplish anything, you're not. Figure it out. There is a way to do it. I did it. I was working 12, 14 hours a day, got up 4:30 in the morning on a bike. This happened in Alexandria, Virginia. I would get on my bike, have my Walkmans on, go to work. Get there by 5:30, work until around 4:30, 5 p.m., take the bike back, went back to the apartment that I stayed at with these people from Guatemala and El Salvador and all these different people. But that is not what you came for today. So I just want to tell you a little bit about my story. There's more to it. If you want to learn more about my story, that book that Joel Goldberg has back there, he has the book over there, and chapter 10 is all about me and my family. My wife is right there. Thank you. I am just setting up the next chapter, the next things that we're going to talk about it. So the next thing that I want to show you is how to set up effective goals. That man that taught me how to make $100,000 a year made it very simple to me. And he said, you have to be very, very precise. You have to have a process. You have to have a process. You will not achieve anything in life if you don't have a process. You will not be a great businessman or great mentor or anything if you don't have a process. And he always said to me, do never, never, never focus on managing people. Manage a process. Let people do whatever they feel as long as they are running your process, as long as they are delivering you your process. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before I dig into this, I want to take a couple more minutes and tell you a little bit more about me, because I love to talk about me. I do, right? Thank you. I moved to New York. When I moved to New York, I didn't have any family waiting either, and I had $22 in my pocket. Took the Greyhound bus from Alexandria, Virginia to New York. I still did not speak the best English. I was still just mumbling. But I landed to Dunkin' Donuts, and I worked at Dunkin' Donuts from the early 90s to late 1998. And at Dunkin' Donuts, I started working cleaning the floors, do the dishes, and all that type of thing. But after a few weeks of working in there, the guy said, well, it looks like you speak a little English, and you seem to be very good with people. Yes, I love people. Isn't that what Marquita said? Right? Isn't that what Joe Goldberg said? Isn't that what Lawrence said? We all live for that, to be around people. And I started to work helping people, serving coffee and donuts. And the guy said, you can eat all the donuts you want, drink all the coffee you want, but you cannot take anything home. Got it. So for me, that was easy. So I made it into the donut business, but about 6 months into it, he said, well, it looks like I can make you my assistant manager. And I went to the preparation of becoming an assistant manager. And after that, then I became a manager. And then became a manager, and over and over and over, running all these places and doing all these things. Are you with me in the process? Even when I had no clue about what in the world I was there for, but one thing I make sure I follow was their process. How to make the donuts. There was a little midget back in the days that had a little commercial, about the plane, how to make the donuts. So there was a process how to make the donuts. There was a process how to run a Dunkin' Donuts. And what I focused, the first thing I told the guy, I said, I want to learn how to know everything in this place. And he said, that's no problem. I can teach you how to know everything. And I learned everything, absolutely everything at the place. What I challenge you with is how good are you right now where you are? Are you there only for a paycheck? Or are you there because you love what you do? Or because you're looking for an opportunity? Are you putting yourself in a situation where you are promotable if the opportunity comes? Or you're the person that is sitting every day in the company saying, I want to be a manager. I want to own one of these things one day. I want to own a store like this one day. Everybody's making money. I don't make any money. Okay, that's good. But what are you doing to do that? What are you doing to achieve that goal? To be that person that is promotable, that gets the best paycheck, the highest paycheck in the company. To take that job that you want so bad. What are you doing today? Are you reading the right books? Do you have mentors? Okay. Now I think we're going to move on to the... let me tell you one more thing about me. I came to Kansas City, 1998. I met my wife. We got married. And I forgot to tell you, this whole entire time, I was illegal in this country. Okay? I was illegal. I lived in this country for about 13 years illegally. Met my wife, we got married. You think when you marry a U.S. citizen, in the movie they said that you're already a citizen, right? Not a chance. Not a chance. We started the process of applying for papers and the whole thing. And then about 14 months later, almost 2 years later, I think it was, they sent me a beautiful letter from immigration saying, hey, come on over for an interview for your green card, for your permanent resident. And I packed my family up, my kid and everybody else. We got to immigration, and they said, oh, we're going to deport you. And I got deported in 2002, leaving my wife and my kids and everything else behind. By then, I was already in the car business, and I was very successful at it. I was, in fact, one of the best. But I got deported because I like sales. I like people. Where there is people, there is life for me. If I'm by myself, doesn't feel good. But when I'm around people, I feel good, and I make things out of it. All right, now that you know that I came to the United States when I was 16, I didn't have a pair of shoes until I was 14. Went to Dunkin' Donuts. I became a success in Dunkin' Donuts, running Dunkin' Donuts and doing all these things I did. Came to Kansas City and went to the car business, and I became a success in the car business. Then I got deported and everything else. Now what? Let's talk about goals. I didn't put one of these on every table because the last time I did it, and most people just left them. So I put some in some people's tables. These little 3x5 cars. I want to challenge you. See this? Very, very sophisticated piece of paper, right? If you have a time tomorrow, go by the store, and if you have them at your office, grab 5 of them. That's all you need, 5. And I want to teach you a very systematic way of setting up goals. These goals are very systematic. The reason why is because they're not focused on one thing. They're going to be focused on 5 things. And in my book, in my way of doing living, making a living, Number one, if you have a chance, in my page, if you want, in my little thing right there, right where you are, I like that. So this is what this guy taught me, the one that taught me how to make $100,000 and how to have a process. This is the essence of the process. That's what I want to teach you. This guy right now, I think, is worth about $600 million. But at the time, he was only worth like $150,000 himself. And he was teaching me how to make $100,000. But this is the essence of the process. Okay? Number one, write it down. Devotion. What is your devotion? What do you do to feed your soul? What do you do? Do you meditate? Do you read the Bible? Do you go to church? Do you listen to material that inspires you? What do you do? Do you have a quiet moments in life? Do you turn off the TV and sit in a place where you can meditate and look at your everyday life? What do you do? If you're not doing that right now, right there is the first thing, is disconnected from the real achievements in life. You're not taking the time for yourself. You're not writing things down. You're not meditating. You're not looking at yourself. Where are you at today, like she said? And you're not seeing where you're going. So number one is your devotion. When is the best time to do this? Anybody? Who gets up at 4:30 in the morning? Don't say Carlos over there. 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning is the absolutely best time to do this. Please don't get up. If you go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock, don't get up 8:30 in the morning. Don't do that. That's awful. If you got to be at work by 7 o'clock in the morning, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. If you got to be at work at 9, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Drink a glass of water. Don't drink coffee, drink water. Drink a nice cold glass of water. Let that sit in your body and watch the changes. And then later on, you drink coffee. Like an hour later, you drink a cup of coffee. But in the meantime, you're reading and you're writing things down. How is your day is going to go? How is your day is been going? And how is your life is looking like? That is step number one of the process. Step number two, your family. What are you doing with your family? If you're single, why are you single? What are you doing that it's not catching up? Well, maybe you're forcing yourself too much to a girl or a girl to a boy. Maybe the one thing you're not doing is developing yourself to be admirable by other people. If you focus on getting that cute girl or the girl focus on getting that cute boy, that's the wrong thing to focus. Focus on yourself. Make yourself viable, presentable, that somebody can say, I want to be around you. You are the right person. And when people feel that they want to surround yourself, they want to be around you, that's when you are valuable. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to focus on others. You want to focus on yourself and then family. That's the one thing I'm telling you. If you have kids, husbands, wives, and all that stuff, focus on how to make this life valuable. Offer value to that family that you have right now. Okay, so that's number two. There is more to it, but you can come up with a lot of things. I'm just giving you an example. Number three, this is going to call your health. This is going to be your health. What are you doing? What are you feeding to your body? How many hours of sleep are you getting? How much caffeine are you putting in your body? You don't need that. That's bad for you. Drink water. Sleep well. Exercise. And that is what it is all about. Number three. So take care of your health. And then later on we'll come back and count this whole thing back together. Number four, intellectual development. What are you doing to feed your brain? What kind of books are you reading? Who you surround yourself with? What kind of courses are you taking? Who are your mentors? What are you doing to make yourself better and better and better every day? If you think you're already smart, well, then perfect, fantastic. Then become smarter. Invent something. Come up with something that will change the world. What are you doing to become more special to that community, to that family, to that church, to that school, to that company you work for? Number 4, intellectual levels. What are you doing? How many books are you reading per month? Are you at least reading 1 book per month? You can buy Joel Goldberg's book today and take it home and buy it and read it. He's a great guy. I met him exactly 4 years ago today, this month of December. And since then, we've been having some good conversations. Okay, so number 4, right? We are in agreement? Intellectual. And number 5, money, your business. Your business. Where are you at with your business today? What do you want to see yourself being 2 or 3 years from now? But more important for your business to work is have a process. What is your process? How are you treating your employees, your people, your customers? Your best customers are your employees. What are you doing for them? How are you taking care of your employees if you're a business owner? And if you're a manager, are you being a manager or are you being a leader? Because if you're a leader, you will succeed. You will make money in that company. If you're a manager, fire yourself. You're not going to make money. Okay, so those are the things that make you money. And if you say, I want to make $1 million by this date, this year, perfect. Put the year, divide that year with how many days are to get there, and then every single day counts, you get that $1 million in your pocket. So if it's 2 years, okay, so 365 times 2. Now divide that back. And that's what you need to do. A little bit every single day, you have to do something that will get you to that $1 million. And that is what it takes. But it's not about money. It's about knowledge, and it's about empowering. It's about doing something for the community. It's about giving. All right, let's recap. If I focus only about money, and I only do money, and I don't care about anything else, what happened to me? I may get the money, but I'm nobody. I have no friends. I have no family, and I'm not healthy either. My health is a disaster. And the moment I make the money, I have to go right back and spend it in taking care of my body. But if I only focus about my health, how good am I? I only take care of my body. I don't care about anything else. I become selfish. I go to the gym every day, and I look in the mirror every day, and I'm just like adoring my body and feeling good, but I'm forgetting about everything else. So what I want to get with it is that it's not about one thing. It's about all 5 things to make it work. So if you go to church, if you only focus on church, then you may leave everything else. So it's not only one thing. Everything has to go together. Are you with me? There we go. I like that. Do I have another minute? 2. Fantastic. Well, I got to tell you, I'm very happy that every one of you made it to this event. We've been very nervous. This event specifically is for you, for the community. The National Speaking Association is something that I always wanted to get to, and I thought it was the most difficult things to get to, but somehow I got here. But when you look back, and I'm a kid in a community selling mangoes and avocados and candies and tamales and everything else you can put in a basket every single day, I would never look at myself being here. I would never, if I told anybody at the time that I was going to be in front of you today, they would be like, I would be the laugh of the city. Well, I want to say this to you. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is, write it down. Identify what is it going to take, what is going to be the process that you have to design to get there. What is going to be, what is it going to take? Who do I have to meet? What is the type of people I got to surround myself with? I am here today by an accident. In 2010, I got invited to speak at the Johnson County Community College. The reason why they invited me was because the speaker that was booked to go speak in there canceled on them in the last minute. And somehow they knew me, and they called me, and they gave me 10 minutes to be ready. And I showed up. I don't know why I did, but I did. Right? I did. And since then, I've been speaking for the past 11 or 12 years at the Johnson County Community College to the students. And they are the ones who has been encouraging me to go on and become a speaker. Then I go on and meet all these great people. And now here I am in front of you. And I greatly appreciate this. I appreciate to see every one of you smiling. And I also believe that you guys are going to commit and take some time to put these goals together for next year. Can we do that? Fantastic. Thank you very much.